but then what you'll see in the background is you'll see that where they have this parent who was not in their lives growing up, or the mother that they got hooked on drugs and went to prison, and that kind of makes me sad. I think, and you can't. It's hard to blame anybody, right? Because we know who put the crack in our community. We know what the media promoted to us, but I think at the same time, there's some degree of responsibility that we all have to take, just because it's really, you really are more empowered when you take some degree of accountability, at least figure out what you could have done, what you could do. And I lived through the crack era, and not everybody chose to smoke crack. Not everybody chose to do the things that were going to get us locked up or put or in trouble. I lived through mass incarceration. I lived through the crack era. And I remember making specific decisions to say, I'm not messing with that. I'm not doing that over there, right? And so, even though we know that systematic racism is real, and this really speaks to the importance of Black people educating Black children, Black people owning Black media, Black people not really trusting other people to guide which direction our communities go and our families go. I think that's there's always that part where it's like, what choice did you choose to make? And do you really feel like you have a choice, or have you just surrendered to this idea that the fate of a Black man or the fate of a Black woman is in the hands of a white man or a white woman? I don't believe that. I don't think there's any benefit in believing that. There's no benefit in submitting to this idea, especially when you're aware of it, right? If you're aware that others are working to manipulate you and your culture in a certain way, then it's up to you to make the decision to have the culture to stand up against that. Right? It's up to you to decide, you know what? No, we're not doing this. This is not, I'm not following the crowd. I'm not trying to fit in. Right. But that requires a lot of work. It requires a lot of internal work, because you have to really sort of figure out what matters to you and why it matters to you and what should matter to you. Right? Like, what does it like? It's not hard to know how to raise a child properly. They got books on that. Did you choose to read the book? I haven't met a white man yet who told me I wasn't allowed to read a book. I haven't. He does. I don't know if he exists. If he does exist, then call the police, because that's a terrible thing to do. Is to slap books out of people's hands. I've never met a white man who told me I couldn't learn how to invest or how to save money or how to build wealth. I never met a white man who told me that I couldn't really focus on learning how to love my wife in the best way possible or how to be the best father I could be. I've never met that white man. So so I think really sort of processing the dysfunction that keeps us from being who we want to be and being where we want to be. I think it's really a matter of deciding, what are you going to take accountability for? And then what are you going to kind of offload as sort of like, okay, there's nothing I could have done. And I think the question is why? How does that benefit you? How does that actually help you to make sure that the next generation doesn't get cursed the way we get cursed? Okay. So here's the last stat I'm gonna give you, and then I'm gonna let you guys go. There's another study. This is according to the Black Wealth Data Center at the Brookings Institute. They said that unified families are 72% more likely to build generational wealth. Surprise! Families that operate with clear goals, shared vision, and cooperation significantly outperform those operating in silos or dysfunction. So that means that if you are either divided or dysfunctional, you're going to lose. Division and dysfunction are will destroy your wealth. These are wealth destroyers, right? So division, dysfunction, destruction. That will lead to wealth destruction. So division, dysfunction, destruction. But if you are connected on some level, you have a shared vision, shared goals, you're operating as a team, and you have some people, some team captains who really, really make sure this is a core value, who are very proactive, very intentional, very conscious about this. This is consciousness. Everybody talks about what it means to be conscious and woke.